What is the good news? When all these pipelines were announced, all of a sudden, a lot of groups in the state just sprang up all over in different counties, not only in central Virginia, but southwest Virginia, where they have actually been extremely active down there as well. It's eminent domain. If the pipelines are approved, and then FERC can say, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission can come in and say, well, we're going to take your property whether you like it or not. And now they are fighting the surveyors in these areas. Roanoke County, my home county, has had posses going up and down the road looking for surveyors to stop them from coming onto properties. And they have done an excellent job. And they've got the county sheriff on their side. And so I'm seeing some of the local governments, like in southwest Virginia, have stepped up to support their citizens, which has been very encouraging.
Our fight is kind of like an orchestra. There are lots of different groups, lots of different people in our orchestra. They're doing different things. They have different focuses. Together is really the mass of it, is how it works.
There's so many different levels that this pipeline project is wrong. And different ones of us are drawn to different aspects of that fight. And so it's been very interesting from the beginning to see groups of people who would never have been working together, now working together towards a common goal. And so it might be that you've got, the environmentalists who are concerned about this sort of thing bringing in one part of the music. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the folks possibly traditionally farther right on the political spectrum who are more interested in the property rights element. And they're coming in with their music.
Protecting our environment is not a red or a blue issue. Something like 90% of Democrats favor clean energy solutions, and something like 88% of Republicans favor clean energy solutions. So I think people, even if our politicians don't get it, I think people do.
Well, one of the things that I think we're really excited about is the fact that the Department of Environmental Quality in Virginia has finally started to listen to what a lot of the experts are saying, is that we have a real threat to our water supply. Let's work together and let's carry out that protection in the best way possible. And the best way possible would be to, rather than do a blanket permit and give one permit for all the water issues on the 600 miles, is to do individual permits for all the stream crossings, all the wetland crossings, so that you examine the situation on the ground one by one. And we're excited that there is some movement in that direction. We just need to make sure that the pressure is put on DEQ and Virginia to make sure our water, our precious water that goes into the Chesapeake Bay, is protected.
As you know, the gubernatorial race for Virginia is up in June. So we have, there's good signs. The Democratic candidates are voicing some concern about the ACP, and we are going to listen to them carefully. One of the candidates has said he is against it. The other candidate said that he will be very stringent in the environmental requirements. There are other legislators committing to not taking money from these big economic corporations who are behind the building of the pipeline, because it does slant their whole viewpoint.
It is still going to be a political kind of process, as much as it should just be a science and evidence-based process.
And every moment that we slow them down, we are getting ourselves closer to having a governor who will support our resistance. Right. And if we can slow things down long enough for that, so that we'll have a governor who will support our Department of Environmental Quality in really scrutinizing those water permits and not allowing a blanket water permit, then we have a good chance of stopping the pipeline for all the right reasons.
Will it stop a pipeline by ourselves? No, but we're not in this by ourselves.
I think that one of the interesting things that's coming of this is that a lot of people who weren't on solar systems are getting onto solar systems, because they're saying, I got to put my money where my mouth is. If I don't want this type of infrastructure to be going through people's land, then what am I doing to help make that sort of infrastructure not necessary? And I think that there's a kind of empowerment that comes from that realization that it's not just about fighting some big corporation or some insensitive government regulatory board, but it's also about making the changes that we can in our own lives to create the world that we're looking for.
Renewables are coming on strong, so I'm optimistic.
The best news would be just for Dominion or EQT to say, we're not going to build these pipelines, and we're going to put our resources into developing renewable energy instead of pipelines.
If we can keep this at an arm's length for enough time, we can educate more people and we can stop this.
Our county has become much more connected because of the work that we're doing. And in some ways it's a little bit sad to think that it takes having an outside threat to get people to, connect with each other. I think as long as we are standing together and linked arms, we're a much more formidable foe to Dominion. We can stand and protect our land much better than we can if we're just like little individuals that they can pick off like snipers.
It's an amazing thing to see humanity coming together like this, and I believe this is just a start.